Judge, the next witness that I have is going to be Ms. Sangeeta Ryan, who is present in court.
Okay, Ms. Ryan.
Do you swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case under penalty of law? Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you please state your name for the court?
Sangeeta Ryan.
And can you describe your relationship to Joe Ryan?
Is this where I read my statement? Who I met, Joey Nathan Ryan, was my nephew. And Honorable Judge Ascarati, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. Thank you for allowing the Ryan family to speak up for our Joey Nathan Ryan. We thank the jury for helping us achieve justice for Joe and Christine. And we thank the Fairfax County Police Department, the Commonwealth Attorney's Office, and all that helped, and we are grateful for justice. So our family has remained silent since the devastating loss out of grief, but also out of respect for the justice system. For us, Joe did not just die on February 23rd, 23. He was murdered over and over again, every time lies were spoken, every time his picture was posted alongside salacious stories told by two wolves in sheep's clothing who perpetrated this crime and attempted to destroy the memory of two remarkable people. Julia and her boss/lover intended to snuff out the life of two innocent victims who deserve to live full and meaningful lives of their own. Well, while we acknowledge the defendant for eventually coming forward with the truth, telling the truth doesn't absolve her of responsibility. Honesty is something we're taught at a young age. Telling the truth doesn't erase the harm. It simply allows others to move forward. It doesn't bring Joe back, and it sure doesn't bring Christine back. Hearing the truth has finally allowed us to exhale. It validated to the world what we already knew, that Joe was not the monster he was portrayed to be. Rather, Joe was an elder brother, a brand new uncle, the eldest cousin and confidant to four. He is my beloved nephew and a son and grandson to his loving family. Pardon me 1 second. We acknowledge that Juliana was a young woman in a foreign country, in love with her employer in a situation where the power imbalance was not in her favor. But where our compassion ends is with the one other responsibility. Juliana was entrusted with and received payment for the care and protection of a small, innocent child. And Juliana, I feel, failed Valerie repeatedly. She was trusted to protect this young charge, but instead chose to cause irreparable damage. She robbed her of her mother. She stole childhood memories. She chose to partner in the brutal assassination of her mother's character, as well as her beautiful being. The defendant and her boss/boyfriend convinced Valerie that a stranger broke into her home and killed her mother, when in fact the monsters were the very people who cared for her after the loss. Julia and her boss worked to erase her mother's existence and credibility and place the blame on an innocent man. Our hearts go out to all of Christine and Valerie's family. What an absolutely incredible person she must have been. But may I tell you about Joe? Joe is loved. Joe came to live with the Ryan family. I'm so sorry.
Take your time.
Joe came to live with the Ryan family just days after his birth. His birth parents, Dad, Sean, and Deirdre, who you met, were teenagers, so Joe lived with and was raised by his paternal grandparents, Connie and Jim, for all of his life. As a young child, Joe, who we call Joey, was fun-loving and loved from the beginning. He was inquisitive, curious, smart, charming, and so dang talkative. Joe approached strangers and passerbyers with random and nerdy questions about Transformers and movie characters and the Legend of Zelda video game characters and who would win in a battle between this person, and he respectfully waited the answers, whether you knew them or not. As he grew into adulthood, Joe's hobbies included building or painting anything that used his fine motor skills. He loved martial arts. He had a great love and respect for our environment, animals, especially mistreated, neglected, and ugly dogs. And he rescued many injured and less loved dogs, bringing them across the country in his travels safely home to the home he shared with his grandmother. Joe cared for people, he cared for animals, and Joe didn't hurt people. When Joe's grandfather, Pap, required care due to a debilitating stroke, Joe left his life in Virginia and moved to Florida to serve as the full-time caregiver to his grandfather, the grandfather that supported him from infancy. When Pap developed dementia and had to move into a memory care facility, then Joe moved back to Virginia where he began to take care of his grandmother, who had begun to experience health problems of her own. Joe took over transportation for medical appointments, hospital procedures, food shopping, and the bond between Connie and her grandson was as close as that of a mother and child. Joe would never have put himself in a dangerous situation that would risk his ability to continue to take care of his beloved grandmother or his old ugly dog, Kitty. I'm sorry, she's not ugly. When Joe didn't come home, Joe's grandmother, Connie, lost the gentle man that she and Pap raised as their fourth son. Joe's sudden murder devastated his grandma, who was 81, and devastated her so much she could no longer live in the family home without Joe, and quietly and quickly sold her home to dodge memories, grief, and reporters to move closer to my husband and me. My husband is Joe's Uncle Jimmy, and I'm his Aunt Gita. In Joe's absence, my husband and I made the decision to leave our careers and to take over his grandma's support and care team. We continue to do that today, and we think about and talk about Joe every single day. Honorable Judge Asgarati, we feel Joe and Christine were targeted by the worst kind of monsters, the kind who live among the victims and wait until they're the most vulnerable. We feel as a woman, a caretaker, and as a daughter, Juliana had opportunity to stop this brutal assassination. We think she could have warned Christine. We think she could have warned Joe that morning. This could have been a very different ending where Juliana saved 2 lives. But that's not. At least she should have done the job for which she was being paid to protect a child. She did not. So many opportunities to do the right thing, and Juliana over and over chose not to. And while we acknowledge that she found the strength to tell the truth, it doesn't absolve the responsibility. So today we leave here finally standing as Joe's family. This nightmare's ending. It's our hope that Juliana doesn't walk free, but continues to reflect on how she became capable of doing this, so that when she does return to Brazil, she never victimizes another person, never betrays another child in her care, and never again places selfish desire above human life. She doesn't deserve to profit. We hope that can be enforced. The reality is, though, she will be free one day, and our hope is that she carries the weight of the lives destroyed, that Juliana chooses to live as a decent person, and that she is truly remorseful. The sentence that Juliana receives today is not the only one given. We all carry a life sentence of grief, even after hers ends. We ask for peace. We ask to be allowed to move forward. Today we move forward by returning Joe's kindness to the world. We say his name proudly. We invite the world to finally know the man we protected in silence for so long. He is loved. We miss Joe, and our family is devastated by the way he was ripped from our lives. Joe won't complete painting his unfinished Warhammer 3D figurines. He won't compete in any more live-action role-playing battles with silly, hand-created foam weapons, nor his mixed martial arts or video game battles. He'll no longer bore us with lectures about eating organic food over junk food, but it's with our hearts we thank you, Honorable Judge, and the jury that was here, members of the court, the police, the detective, the prosecution team, the victims team, and all the witnesses who supported justice for Joe. Thank you so much for listening.
Please answer any questions that Mr. Campbell might have.
Any cross-examination?
No questions, Your
All
Honor.
right, no questions. All right, you can
Thank
go
you
back
so
to your seat.
much.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan.